Have you ever wondered what could shake the very core of our planet in a way that defies all natural explanations? Imagine this, February 12th, 2026, a day that began just like any other until something incredible happened. 3 hours ago, the Space Weather Prediction Center in Boulder, Colorado, registered an event so rare it has only a 0.002% chance of occurring naturally. And no, I'm not talking about a solar flare, and I'm certainly not referring to a coronal mass ejection. What we witnessed was something far more bizarre, a sudden, violent deflection in Earth's magnetic field. At precisely 14 UTC, our planet's magnetometers didn't just register a minor shift, they screamed. The planetary K-index didn't just spike, it shot up as the very angle of magnetic north shifted. Imagine holding a compass. You expect it to point north, your reliable guide, but suddenly, and without any obvious cause like solar winds or seismic activity, that needle jerks by 4.7 degrees to the east, and it stays there for a full 9 minutes. Think about that. A 4.7-degree deflection on a planetary scale demands an energy source powerful enough to cause a shift of that magnitude. We're talking about an energy output equivalent to a mid-sized nuclear detonation, silent, invisible, and completely magnetic. When this data first came through, the immediate assumption at the Ghost 119 Satellite Command Center was a sensor failure. After all, it happens. Instruments can degrade over time. But then, reports started coming in from ground stations. The observatory in Tromsø, Norway confirmed it. The USGS station in Honolulu confirmed it. What we were looking at was no ordinary event. It was a coherent electromagnetic push against Earth's magnetosphere, something we'd never seen before. Typically, when we encounter magnetic disturbances, we trace them back to the Sunday. We track the solar wind, the protons, and then predict the storm. But when we examined the solar data from the SDL satellite earlier this morning, the sun was unusually quiet. The solar wind was moving at a baseline speed of 350 kilometers per second, well within normal range. No solar storm had occurred. Yet, at 14 UTC, something massive bent Earth's magnetic field, and the origin of that pressure seemed to point directly to one place, 3 Atlas. Now, let's pause for a moment, because here's where things take a real turn. Comets, like 3 Atlas, don't have magnetic fields strong enough to affect our planet from 180 million kilometers away. A comet made of ice and rock can't generate a magnetic field that could manipulate the ionosphere of an entire planet. That goes against everything we know about physics, everything we thought we understood about the composition of comets. But the data we gathered from our magnetometers wasn't lying. The numbers were hard, they were real, and they were unprecedented. So let's think about what this means for a second. If 3 Atlas is capable of generating a magnetic field powerful enough to shift our compasses, it's no longer just a comet. It's something far more significant. It is an active electromagnetic engine. And what NOAA detected wasn't just a random fluctuation in the data, it was a connection. This, my friends, is where the story gets truly mysterious. Sure, here's the second part of the rewritten transcript. To truly grasp the significance of what just happened, we need to take a step back and reconsider what we originally thought about 3 Atlas. When it was first flagged by the Pan-STARRS telescope in Hawaii, scientists assumed it was just another long-period comet. Spectral analysis suggested the usual behavior outgassing, a comet's coma, and a tail of dust and water vapor. It was all so predictable, so normal. But nature, as it often does, had other plans. At 14:02 UTC, just 2 minutes after the magnetic disturbance, scientists scrambled to explain the impossible. The first theory to emerge was that this was a geomagnetic jerk, a sudden shift in the flow of Earth's outer core. Such events are rare but natural, and they can occur without warning. However, a geomagnetic jerk typically takes months to register on surface instruments. This anomaly, however, occurred in just 3 seconds. A geomagnetic jerk simply couldn't account for this. The second theory, naturally, was that the sensors malfunctioned. After all, when you see data that breaks the laws of physics, your first instinct is to blame the equipment. It's the rational approach. So, the data analysts at the Space Weather Prediction Center immediately called for cross-validation of the results. But as the story unfolded, what started as an anomaly quickly escalated into something much more serious. At precisely 14:10 UTC, the situation took another unexpected turn. The NOAA satellite, orbiting geostationary at 35,786 kilometers above the equator, was the first to detect the magnetic pulse. The satellite recorded a spike of 250 nanoteslas. At the same time, the European Space Agency's Swarm constellation, a fleet of 3 satellites specifically designed to map Earth's magnetic field, passed over the South Atlantic anomaly. ESA's mission control in Darmstadt confirmed the readings, reporting not just a spike but a twisting of the magnetic field lines. By this point, the story had gone global. Ground stations in Australia and South Africa, at the Intermagnet Observatory in Canberra and the Magnetic Observatory in Hermanus, respectively recorded identical deflection signatures. 3 independent sources, each at a different altitude, each reporting the same exact data. The numbers were undeniable. The probability of 3 separate magnetic monitoring systems failing in such a precise manner is a staggering 1 inch, 4.67 billion. In other words, the odds of this being a glitch are far smaller than the odds of gravity suddenly turning off tomorrow. To put it in perspective, when Earth's magnetic field is disturbed, the effect is usually like a hammer striking a bell. The sun sends a cloud of charged particles our way, and the planet rings like a bell. We see a geomagnetic storm, chaotic, messy, and global. But what we witnessed at 14 UTC wasn't a hammer, it was a laser. The data from the Swarm satellites shows that the disturbance was highly concentrated, narrow, and incredibly intense. Imagine stretching a rubber sheet that represents space-time or a magnetic field. Now, imagine poking it with a needle. The deflection caused by 3 Atlas wasn't just a bend, it was sharp and precise, snapping the field lines into a new configuration. Then, something even stranger happened. At 14:15 UTC, just 15 minutes into the event, the deflection angle began to oscillate. It wasn't static anymore. The 4.7 degree shift began to pulse, moving up to 4.8 degrees, then back to 4.7 degrees, then to 4.6 degrees, oscillating at a frequency of 0.3 Hz. In nature, magnetic fluctuations are usually random and noisy, like static on a TV screen. But this was different. It was a perfect sine wave, mathematical, clean, and highly organized. When you look at the raw data plots from the Tromsø Observatory, it looks artificial. It looks engineered. It looks like someone was deliberately modulating the magnetic field. Pause for a moment and think about the implications of this. I've spent my life studying the fundamental forces of the universe. I know how magnetic fields interact with plasma. I know how the solar wind compresses the magnetosphere. And yet, there is no natural explanation for what we're seeing here. There is no known mechanism in nature that could allow a comet and icy rock floating through space to generate a focused, oscillating magnetic beam capable of twisting Earth's magnetic field from 180 million kilometers away. If this were a magnetar, a neutron star with an extremely powerful magnetic field, Earth would be dead. The radiation would have sterilized the planet, but there's no radiation. The X-ray flux is flat. The gamma-ray detectors are silent. All we're seeing is magnetic energy. At this point, we are left with a question that challenges everything we know about the universe. What is happening with 3 Atlas? If this object is not a comet, as we originally thought, then what is it? And if it's not a comet, then why is it behaving in such an extraordinary way? The more we dig into the data, the stranger it gets. After the oscillation in the magnetic field started at 1415 UTC, something unexpected occurred. At 1422 UTC, just 7 minutes later, the oscillation didn't stop, it accelerated. The frequency jumped from 0.3 Hz to 1.6 Hz. This shift is significant, and here's why. 1.6 Hz resonates with the ionospheric cavity of Earth. This is not random noise. This is not the chaotic flicker of a malfunctioning sensor. This is a specific, calculated frequency that is interacting with Earth's own magnetic and atmospheric systems. Think about the energy required to do this. To manipulate Earth's magnetic field, especially the ionospheric cavity, requires a level of precision that is beyond anything we've seen before. It's not just bending the magnetic field, it's tuning it, adjusting it like an instrument. Imagine treating the magnetic field of a planet like a guitar string, plucking it, and then tightening it to produce specific vibrations. That's exactly what we're seeing here. This is not the behavior of a dirty snowball. This is not ice and rock outgassing into space. This is something entirely different. It defies our understanding of comets and the physics we've relied on for centuries. We are now entering uncharted territory. The conventional models have failed us. What we thought we knew about comets, about magnetism, and about the way celestial bodies interact with our planet is being rewritten in real time. The deeper we go into the data, the more questions arise. And it's at this point, as the oscillation reaches 1.6 Hz, that we realize we are no longer dealing with an object from the far reaches of space that's simply passing through our solar system. We are dealing with something that is interacting with Earth, actively reaching out and touching our planet in ways we can't explain. But the story doesn't end here. In fact, the most shocking part of this discovery happens next. As the oscillation continued to accelerate and the frequency shifted, something even more peculiar happened at 1435 UTC. The data from the Cluster 2 satellites, another mission by the European Space Agency, revealed something truly bizarre. These satellites passed through the cusp of Earth's magnetosphere, and what they detected was unlike anything we've ever observed. Instead of the usual outward flow of ions from Earth's atmosphere into space, the satellites recorded something completely different. They found that the ions weren't escaping, they were being funneled in. Now, this is where things take a massive turn. Earth's magnetosphere is typically a barrier that prevents harmful particles from entering our atmosphere. But in this case, high-energy particles, carbon, nitrogen, and oxygen, were being channeled directly into Earth's polar regions. And these particles weren't coming from the sun, they weren't solar protons. No, these were heavy ions, and their presence meant something more significant was at play. Something was pushing material into our atmosphere, not just any object, but 3 Atlas itself. This is a mass transfer event. A magnetic pipeline had been established between Earth and 3 Atlas, spanning 180 million kilometers of vacuum. This is not how nature works. Nature does not build magnetic pipelines between comets and planets. Nature does not spin up a comet to relativistic speeds in a matter of minutes. and nature certainly does not modulate a carrier wave at 1.6 Hz. This is engineering, high-level cosmic scale engineering. And if this is engineering, the question changes. We're no longer asking, what is this object? We're now asking, what is it doing to us? This new discovery forces us to reconsider everything we thought we knew. If 3 Atlas is capable of interacting with Earth in such a precise, controlled manner, it opens up a terrifying possibility. What if this isn't a natural phenomenon? What if we're dealing with something else? Something that is actively reaching out and making a connection with our planet. We're no longer just observing this event from afar, we are now part of it. And the data continues to pour in. As the data from February 12th keeps pouring in, the situation becomes even more urgent. The implications of these discoveries are reaching far beyond the scientific community. At 1945 UTC, just a few hours after the magnetic disturbances began, something occurred that no one was prepared for. The High-Frequency Active Auroral Research Program, HAARP, in Alaska, which had been monitoring the situation closely, switched on its receivers to listen, not transmit, hoping to get a better understanding of the electromagnetic phenomenon at play. What they heard defied all expectations. Normally, the Earth's ionosphere is filled with static, a constant hum of random noise caused by lightning strikes and solar radiation. But at exactly 1945 UTC, the static stopped. Absolute silence. This silence, however, was not the end of the story. Out of this eerie calm came something far more unsettling, a complex, multi-layered signal embedded directly into Earth's magnetic field lines. The signal wasn't a simple beep or pulse. It was something far more intricate and deliberate. Think back to the early days of the Internet, when dial-up modems used sound to carry data. The signal from 3 Atlas was using the very vibration of Earth's magnetic field to communicate. When the analysts at HAARP slowed down the recording and ran a Fourier transform to break down the frequencies, they found something extraordinary. Embedded within the signal were sequences of prime numbers 2, 3, 5, 7, 13, up to 11,111. These prime numbers weren't random. They formed a pattern, a structure, but there was more. Alongside the primes, there was another unmistakable presence, the golden ratio, the mathematical constant 1.618. This ratio is famously found in the structure of spiral galaxies, the shape of nautilus shells, and even the proportions of DNA. It's the essence of beauty and order in nature. But here, it wasn't just a coincidence, it was a deliberate part of the signal. If this were a natural phenomenon, if this were just a comet or a magnetic storm, we would expect chaos, randomness. But what we see is something different. We see order, we see math, we see intelligence. Now, here's where things take an even darker turn. The signal that was initially coming from 3 Atlas, the object that was shaking our planet's magnetic field, stopped. The source of the signal shifted. The data from HAARP showed that the source of the signal wasn't coming from 3 Atlas anymore. It was coming from within Earth itself. Yes, you read that correctly. The initial magnetic push from 3 Atlas, the 4, 7, degree deflection in Earth's magnetic field had induced a resonant frequency within Earth's core. And as the object reached out to manipulate our magnetic field, it didn't just send a message, it uploaded it. Earth itself became the transmitter. The signal was no longer coming from deep space. It was coming from inside our own planet. This discovery is unlike anything we've ever seen before. It raises more questions than answers, but one thing is clear. Our planet has become a beacon, a signal to the cosmos, and we don't know who is listening. To fully understand the magnitude of what's happening, we need to consider the implications of this uploading process. What does it mean for Earth to become a transmitter? The notion that Earth could suddenly start emitting a signal that could be detected across space is unprecedented, and even more troubling. What if the object that initiated this process has been waiting for this moment? What if it has been sending a signal to us all along, and we've only just now discovered it? Now, we must confront the most pressing question that has emerged from these unprecedented events. Why now? Why, after 4.5 billion years of silence, would a comet or whatever this object truly is suddenly reach out and touch Earth's core? The timing of this event is as mysterious as the object itself, and the implications are enormous. What we do know is this: on February 12, 2026, Earth's magnetic field was forcibly bent by 4.7 degrees. This event occurred simultaneously with an anomaly in the rotation of three Atlas. Three independent space agencies, NASA, ESA, and NOAA, confirmed the data. The signal that accompanied this disturbance contained mathematical constants, including prime numbers and the golden ratio, which defy natural explanations. These aren't theories. These are documented, verifiable observations that cannot be dismissed. If this is a natural event, a new force of nature, we are witnessing something entirely revolutionary in physics. It could signal a new way for celestial bodies to communicate magnetically, something we've never before conceived. But if this is not a natural event, if there is an intelligence behind this phenomenon, then the implications are even more profound. The question shifts from what is this object to what is this object doing to us? And the consequences of that question are terrifying. If this object can manipulate our magnetic field from 180 million kilometers away, it doesn't just stop at shifting a compass needle. It can do far worse. It could strip away our ozone layer, crash power grids, and silence our satellites. It holds the keys to Earth's very infrastructure. Imagine what could happen if it decided to escalate its influence. What if it can do far more than just tweak our magnetic field? What if it has the capability to cause destruction on a planetary scale? As we speak, the resonance in Earth's core is growing louder. The signal is amplifying. Every hour brings in new data, new insights, and new concerns. Telescopes are pointed, detectors are live, and the entire planet seems to be vibrating to the rhythm of this distant visitor. We are no longer merely observers in this cosmic drama. We are part of it. We are now part of the circuit. Earth is resonating. Earth is singing that song back to the cosmos. This is no longer just an anomaly. It is an event that is shaping the future of our planet. The connection is real and it's active. We are experiencing a paradigm shift that will forever change the way we understand the universe and our place within it. The implications of this discovery are just beginning to unfold, and the more we uncover, the more the world around us begins to feel the weight of this connection. So, why now? Why this comet? Why is the Earth becoming a beacon? These are questions that have yet to be answered, but the clock is ticking. The resonance in Earth's core is growing stronger, and we are standing on the edge of a revelation that could change everything. As we enter the final stages of our investigation into this extraordinary event, we must confront the reality that we are dealing with something far beyond our current understanding of physics and the cosmos. The question of why this is happening may never have a simple answer, but the data we have gathered is clear. This event, this connection between Earth and 3 Atlas, is a game changer. By now, the entire world is watching as the implications of this discovery unfold. As more data pours in, the resonance in Earth's core continues to grow louder. We are witnessing something that should not be possible a comet interacting with Earth's magnetic field in a way that defies every law of physics we've ever known. The object isn't just passing by, it is reaching out. It is actively engaging with us, and as it does, it is leaving a trail of scientific anomalies that no one can ignore. What we must consider now is how we respond to this unprecedented event. Earth is resonating in a way it never has before, and this signal, the one that has turned our planet into a beacon, could have far-reaching consequences. This could be the beginning of a new era of space exploration, where we learn not just to observe the cosmos but to interact with it. But it could also be a sign of something far more sinister, something that we are not yet prepared to face. The mystery of 3 Atlas, the comet that isn't a comet, is far from solved. As the days go on, we will continue to gather data, and we will continue to seek answers. The deeper we go, the more we realize that this is not just about understanding one object or one event. It's about reevaluating everything we thought we knew about the universe and our place in it. What we are witnessing now is not just a shift in our understanding of space. This is a fundamental shift in the way we view our existence. But with each new piece of data, with each new revelation, one question remains: who is listening? If this is not a natural event, if this is some kind of cosmic engineering, then what is its purpose? What does it mean for humanity? What do we do with the knowledge that we are no longer alone in the universe in the way we once thought? As you continue to follow this story, keep in mind that we are on the verge of a paradigm shift. The connection between Earth and 3 Atlas is just the beginning, and what happens next will define the future of humanity and our relationship with the cosmos. The signal is active, the connection has been made, and we are only just beginning to understand its true significance. Now, as the data continues to arrive and the world holds its breath, I urge you to stay tuned. This is just the beginning, and the answers may be more extraordinary than we can even imagine. Don't miss what comes next.